Greetings, worshippers of darkness. This is Tovrosh Pazan with the iPadBoardGames.org review of Kingsport Festival. Just in case you hadn't noticed, there are a lot, and we mean a lot, of games about Cthulhu out there. So many that most spellcheckers even recognize the name. Kingsport Festival, a new one named for a Lovecraft short story, is the first game we've seen to let the players take charge of the cultists and walk the dark and spooky side of the street for a change. The app dropped a couple of days ago, almost entirely without recognition. Do you worship Cthulhu? Kingsport Festival has been compared to Kingsburg, though whether that comparison is favorable depends a lot on who you ask. As with Kingsburg, Kingsport Festival is essentially a worker placement and resource management game. Each turn is divided into 6 phases. In the first phase, each player rolls 3 dice, both to determine turn order and to determine their options for the turn. The lowest roll will have the fewest options, and so gets to go first, and reclaim some sanity if they so choose. In the second phase, you'll match these dice to the various elder gods, who will grant favors based on your devotion. Turn order matters because once a given god is taken, no other player can invoke it, and reap its rewards that turn. Phase 3 then confers the rewards based on what gods you have invoked. Again, order is important here, because your sanity can go up and down with each reward. Rewards consist of the game's 3 resources, the thematically named, but never clearly defined, evil, death, and destruction. Additionally, you can earn magic points, essentially a 4th resource, and spells, which require adequate magic points to utilize. Some rewards will cost you sanity points. If these ever fall below 0, you will start losing victory points instead, so ensuring these don't run out is an important balancing act. Once rewards have been distributed, Phase 4 is all about expanding into the various buildings of Kingsport, utilizing the resources earned in Phase 3. Exactly why you need 3 evils and 2 destructions to take over a library and what that means you're actually doing is never clearly explained, but just go with it. Each building is worth victory points, and most will confer some sort of bonus for controlling them. Note that there are 16 buildings and only 12 turns in the game, so you will never be able to control the entire town. Note also that more than one player can control a given building without issue. Note finally that it is possible to lose control of a building, which will cause you to lose whatever points and bonuses were contained therein. The 5th phase only happens on certain turns, and represents the intrepid investigators that show up in an attempt to thwart the cultists. After a random event occurs, a random investigator shows up. Each player must attempt to defeat him in turn by using abilities derived from your buildings and spells to increase your strength stat. Exceed the investigator's strength and you gain a reward. Meet it and nothing happens. Fail to do either, and you suffer the agony and resource loss of defeat. Finally, Phase 6, advancing the turn counter. There are a couple of effects that might trigger in this phase, but otherwise, this phase exists mostly to do record keeping in the physical version of the game. Its utility in the digital version is merely for parity, and will usually consist of little more than a gamma fade. It's game over at the end of the 12th turn. Sometimes you'll be playing a scenario, most of which have random festival cards that can offer some last-minute changes in the scoring. The basic game lacks this surprise feature. Whoever dies with the most points wins, and let's face it, when the Elder Gods show up, we're all gonna die, right? Know this, the first time you play this game, you are going to lose.